sure we got some serious opinions after another Mavericks loss, a game that it certainly looked like they had a chance to win early on in this when they get off to a good start, but they couldn't sustain it. Jonah, I want to start with you. I'm curious, what stuck out most to you?
Oof. Just the fact that it was kind of like game one. It just didn't get out of hand early like game one did. The Celtics' inevitability of their hounding defense on the perimeter. I mean, if your name is not Luka Doncic, you barely hit anything from beyond the arc tonight. They had just 2 3-pointers from any player not named Luka. And we talked about this going into game two. They were going to need contributions from the rest of the lineup offensively, and especially from three-point range, and they had good looks, they just didn't make them. And once again, Kyrie Irving, there were brief moments where it looked like he was going to get going, and then he just disappeared. Once again, just a lackluster effort by the entire Mavericks team. A lot of silly turnovers, missed free throws, fundamental things that a team that is poised and experienced wouldn't do. And I think we're starting to see that difference between the Celtics and the Mavericks show up here through these first 2 games.
Nick Angstead, you have followed every minute of this Mavericks season, and you have seen them throughout this postseason run, the way that they have been able to beat teams, and they seemingly can't get a hold on that against these Boston Celtics. Joe Mazzulla's defense has really forced the Mavericks to look undisciplined, and listen, this bunch has been really well coached, but they haven't looked like it. How much of it you think, Nick, is the Mavericks, and how much of it is that Boston Celtics defense?
Yeah, well, I'll give the Celtics credit a little bit later, but I think we undersold completely the issue with this game. I heard, and you guys heard, we're all here in the arena. We've heard 100 times, 500 times, Kyrie sucks, over and over again. And through 2 games, I don't know that they were wrong about that. He was very bad in this game. And 16 points, 7 of 18 from the field. I mean, you get down to crunch time, and you mentioned it, Joe, the way that they've won games this season. This Mavericks team has mucked games up. They figured out a way to keep the game close, keep the scores low, 105-98. That's low in today's NBA. And then you win it in crunch time. You win it in the clutch. Kyrie has a turnover with 2:21 left, and that may be like one of the best plays he had in the fourth quarter. I mean, just absolutely brutal from Kyrie in this one. He wanted to egg on the crowd. He was like cheering for the crowd to like boo him a little bit more, and man, he just did not respond in any way that was productive in this one.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Listen, that Kyrie sucks chant was about the most PG thing they said. I mean, they lobbed everything they could. They booed him mercilessly. They made sure that they put his comments after game one when he said he thought it would be louder. They put that up on the big screen to make sure everyone was added fuel to the fire even more for this crowd that was really lathered up for this game and loud as you could be. But listen, the Mavericks showed that they could play with this team, especially early in this game. But the thing that stuck out to me was that third quarter when the Celtics defense just started grinding away at the Mavericks. And as the game went on, it felt like they just got less and less disciplined, and the turnovers mounted. The big thing for me, 15 turnovers, 21 points going the other way, 8 missed free throws. I mean, you're just giving away points in what, as you said, Nick, was a close game, and that really, you just can't be that sloppy, and they look so sloppy in the biggest moments, and that's uncharacteristic from what we've seen in this playoff run, and that's kind of what stuck out most to me. What about you, Andrew?
I'll kind of follow up on a little bit of the undisciplined nature of this, because I was a little surprised watching the game how close it was late. Early in the fourth quarter, it felt like they were up 20 and it was about to be this insurmountable lead that the Mavericks had no chance of coming back on, and yet all of a sudden you look at the score with about a minute left and it's essentially a 5-point game verging on a 2 if not for a double chase down block on P.J. Washington. So as much as all of this undisciplined nature hits, I do think there are enough positives out of this that the Mavs have yet to play a good game in this series, some by their own fault, some by the Celtics' fault. And yet it also kind of feels like this was the moment that they're kind of saying we can hang with these guys. The comparison I want to bring, though, real quick is to the 2011 Mavs final run. This felt like 2 shots away from the dramatic comeback in Game 2 of that series. But the difference is the Mavs won that game in 2011 and gave themselves a buffer at home. And now heading home, they have no buffer. They have to hold serve at home court. So I'm curious, Jonah, from your perspective, as we begin to shift toward Dallas, do you get the sense that, and they have played better at home, how much difference is the home crowd going to make in this?
It'll play a factor, but I would also point out two important things here. Luka Doncic is everything that they need right now. He has to play like Dirk did in 2011 if they're going to win this finals. I think that's one thing. It doesn't matter if it's home or away. Going back to home court, there is some consistency there, but the Mavericks were really good on the road during this playoff run especially, and they've come up empty here in Boston. I would look for two things. One, for them to try to get back to that offense, getting easy buckets around the rim. It's been hard against the Celtics. And number two, Kyrie. We've talked about him throughout this entire first segment. He has to find something. I heard him in the locker room. We were just there moments ago. He said loud enough for all of us to hear, "We'll be fine." They need him to show up in Game 3.
No doubt about that. Mavericks fans better hope he is right when he says he'll be fine.
What kind of reason for hope do you think Mavs fans have heading into Game 3?
I do think that will, change the dynamic a little bit, but even more than that, I think, one of the big headlines going into this series was the battle of the dynamic duos and Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving against Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And it's very interesting because Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown don't even have to be the best on their team. In fact, Drew Holiday was their leading scorer today. There seems to be more depth. There seems to be more discipline. And I think that has really played a big role in terms of, the Luka and Kyrie dynamic duo not really being able to get traction in terms of Kyrie. Luka, yeah, listen, he's putting up points, but here's the other thing, and I want to make this point. Joe Mazzulla wants them to play iso ball. Luka was just making shots in this game. He was still playing right into their hands. That's part of the problem. They're letting him play iso ball, get all of yours. He doesn't get anyone else involved like he normally does, and that's one of the biggest problems besides Kyrie not holding up his end. Nick, what do you think about that?
Well, I disagree to a small part that the Celtics adjusted and they started doubling him in the second quarter, like towards the end of the second quarter. And so they started sending those doubles. Yep. He ended up with 11 assists, 10 more than he did in Game 1. So he did kind of adjust to that and did get some other guys involved. But yeah, Luka's just got to create more points and more points, especially if you're going to get Kyrie the way that he was. But the problem with the two stars is they're both compromised. We talked about Kyrie. I've already said my piece about that. But Luka was questionable coming into this game. He got downgraded from probable on the injury report to questionable because of the chest contusion that he was dealing with. And so, he's dealing with the knee, the ankle, the chest. I mean, what else could he be dealing with out here? He is a compromised superstar at this point, and Kyrie his game has been compromised so far through 2 games.
Jonah?
Yeah, and I think that we need to give some credit to the Celtics here. I know Nick didn't want to do that a few moments ago, but we have to. This is not just some random team that won the Eastern Conference. This is a team that went 37-4 at home during the regular season. They've been the best team in basketball throughout the entire year. And it's not just because they won a bunch of games at random. It's because they go like 7-8 deep with guys who can hit shots and play on both ends of the floor. I mean, Game 1, Sam Hauser's making threes. And this game, Peyton Pritchard's beating the buzzer from the logo. I mean, it doesn't even matter what the Mavericks do. The Celtics are getting buckets. And when Jason Tatum doesn't have to score 30 points, that kind of speaks to just how good and how deep they are. Drew Holiday was fantastic. And I think at the end of it, the Mavericks have a numbers problem. The Celtics have a bunch of guys who are good, not just a couple. Really great players. They have a ton of really good players who are experienced in this moment, and I think that is starting to really show through these first 2 games.